If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you very much for joining me, and a special welcome as well to those of you who have been watching my channel for some time. I'm just on a day out on the south coast. So welcome to a view of Lulworth Cove that you don't often get because, well, very few people seem to make it round this far. And it's because, well, one, it's a surprisingly long walk around the cove. I'm not quite sure what the distance is from one side to another. I might check that on the map and pop it up on the screen, but it's a reasonable walk. And I'm conscious actually the tide is on the way in. It's high tide in about an hour and 3/4, so the water will come up further, and it's already lapping at the rocks that have fallen down here at the foot of that rockfall that happened in February. It's now beginning of June, so it's a few months ago. You are able to scramble over that. There is sort of a path becoming or making itself known across the bottom edge of that rockfall. But I may well take the route up and over the top of the cliff back down to Lulworth, West Lulworth over there. And I'm basically here just to recce things out. I'm thinking about a sunset shoot tonight. The sun is clearly going to sort of set over in that direction. I haven't checked out precisely yet with my PhotoPills software, but I will do that shortly. But I think this could be a really nice position from which to look at sunset. So I think this is what I'm going to come back to tonight. Don't see very many sunset pictures from here, and I've never had one. In fact, the last time that I came to photograph Lulworth Cove was probably when I first got my Nikon D300, and for some reason I just haven't been back since. And I guess part of that is the fact that, as you can see from the if I zoom in a little here, it's become a really popular tourist location. The upside of that is the facilities are massively better. I can get things like fish and chips now, which is great. But it comes at a cost. One, because of the number of people. Two, the price of parking now is eye-wateringly expensive. If you want to park here for more than 4 hours now, it's going to cost you 20 quid. £20. So up to £4 is £12. 4 hours is £12. Over 4 hours and up to 12, 20 quid. And you cannot park here overnight. So, as I say, it does come kind of at a price. Anyway, nevertheless, I do like this view, and so I think this is the shot that I'm going to do tonight if there's a chance of some decent colour in the sky. Presently, that is quite a big if, because at the moment I'm not really sure at all that we are going to be looking at colour in the sky. Looking at my weather and radar app, it's not looking hugely promising that that is going to be the case. But I'll be keeping my eyes on the weather. In the meantime, I'll probably do a walk past Stair Hole, which is opposite over this direction, and see whether or not I can get down to beach level after high tide and get some slightly different pictures of Stair Hole, and also a little bit further round past the next headland, and maybe even if I have time, I probably won't, but even if I do have time, maybe even Manor Wall Bay. Right, okay, I think it's time to go and get some lunch, and I'll catch up with you all a little bit later. In the meantime, I've taken a few shots here, and I'll do a little slideshow of those. They're a bit holiday snappy, but hopefully there might be some half decent shots in there. Well, that was quite a scramble back down the cliff, and there are one or two points I was really not comfortable with, I've got to say. So I've come back up via the path that goes up and around the cliff, because I think there may be a way to get back down to where I was from higher up. Ironically, it looks like it's probably a safer path. Yeah, it was a little bit dodgy, so I'm not really keen on coming down that after sunset when it's getting dim. Well, that was definitely the way to go. At least there is no sheer drop of about 50 feet down to jagged rocks, just a couple of inches from your left foot in dim light. So I think that's going to be the way to go. And so if we have the light later, I'm really not sure we will, but if we have the light later, that's the route I'm going to take. Now, I'm guessing that this is a view towards Durdledore and Manowar Bay that you haven't seen before. And maybe that's the subject of this particular video. So I've come back to the Jurassic coast and Lulworth Cove and that little stretch between there and Durdledore. And beyond it, you've got what's it called? Bat Hill, something like that, I think. And it's quite an iconic view along that coastline, but you don't normally see it from here. So usually most views of Durdledore are taken either from Bat Hill or from, maybe Durdledore itself, on the beach rather. And there are just so many views of it from there, but there aren't many from here. I haven't seen any from here, and the reason is it's off the beaten track, and I've had to get myself a little lost to find this vantage point. So the main path towards Durdledore is actually up this enormous hill there, and in the distance you can see some little people going up and down that path. It's a big slog up that hill and over it and down the other side. And so this particular path is not signposted at all. And so I've been looking for views that are just a bit different, really. And I think this is one. I think this is gorgeous. I'm just going to go a little bit along this path here and see if I can get a clearer vantage point of it, where the shoulder of this hill here is not directly in my line of vision. Oh wow, yeah, the view really begins to open out here, and I think I can get a bit further out as well, and with the sun just partially silhouetting it behind and glinting on the waves the way it is, it just looks spectacular. I've got to say that what I really wanted to do here was to get a shot, a long exposure, to really still the motion of the waves, really smooth it out. But it's just way too windy. Even doing, you know, a 1 second, 2 second shot, let alone something much longer than that, just couldn't get it to be still. Despite hanging my rucksack on the bottom of the tripod and all sorts of things to try and anchor it down, just not going to happen. So unfortunately, that's not the way this one is going to go. But what I could do is I could take a number of exposures and then blend them together. And so the advantage of this method is that although we'll still get movement in the camera, each shot is only 1/250th of a second. And I've taken 16 shots, each of which will be sharp. And although there may have been movement between shots on the camera, and they won't be perfectly aligned, what I can do is then take them into Photoshop and then auto-align them and blend them within Photoshop. And so that's what I'm going to have a go. And if that shot's turned out any good, then here's the shot. The other thing that I wanted to show you here is the effect of using the polarizer in this situation. Although I am shooting toward the sun, and normally we would expect polarizer to have an effect when its best effect when you're kind of like 90 degrees or so to the sun, it is definitely still having some effect on the reflections from the water. So if I'll turn you around now, and I'll show you on the camera that as I turn the, I'll do it this way, I'll use the actual camera view for this part of the video, that as I turn the polarizer you can see the effect of the shine, the level of reflection on the waves changing. So right now it's at its most reflective, and then I just turn this a little bit and there we are. We've got, you know, it's not a huge difference, but it is taking some of that glare off the water, and so you know, it just means you've got a little bit of control about how much glare you have. I'm liking this composition, it's nice. So there is another composition here that I rather like, and it's this one. If I get down low enough, then I can bring into play some of these long grasses that are in the foreground here. And you know, I'm not going to get, because it's just so windy and they're blowing all over the place, what I'm not going to be able to do is to focus stack it so that we've got them in focus in the foreground and then focused right through to the background with a series of shots, because they're just moving around too much, so it's just not going to happen. So having said that, I really like the out of focus foreground effect. It's quite nice. It's soft and they're nicely backlit here by the sun, and so if that shot's any good, here's that shot. Good evening. As you can see, I'm back at the beach. And, well, I've got to say, it's looking promising. We've got some nice light at the moment. Some nice, quiet evening light. The wind has died down somewhat, and which is no bad thing. The big question is going to be where the cloud that is inland is. So what I mean by that is that there is definitely quite a bit of cloud on the inland horizon. There's also a big window in that. What I just can't tell at the moment is whether or not that window is going to be in the right place at the right time to light up the relatively thin kind of medium to high cloud that we have. If it does, this is going to be beautiful. And if it doesn't, it's just going to fade to grey. Let's see what happens, eh? Now, I talked a little earlier about finding a different perspective on things, just being prepared to go out of your way a bit to find a different picture, even at these iconic locations. And so here in the cove, I'm walking all the way around the cove, and up the hill the other side, and then back down to this little ledge. It's not a bit more than a ledge. It sounds dangerous as a ledge. I don't think it is. And but what that will do is it will give me a view from one headland across to the other over there. So I'll be looking toward that gap between the headlands and hopefully some nice colourful cloud the other side. Well, sadly, I think I'm going to have to call it. It's pretty much sunset, and as you can see, there's a big bank of grey cloud right behind it, and so unfortunately we are not going to get any kind of colour in the sky. I'll take a couple of more shots of this rather grey sunset, but there you go. We don't win them all, but I have to say, looking back at my camera just now and some of the shots that I took this afternoon, I'm so glad that I made that extra trip out, because they just look beautiful. I think they're going to be nice, and so hopefully I've got something out of this trip. Well, thank you very much if you've made it this far in the video. It would be wonderful if you could like and subscribe and all those YouTubey things. It really helps the channel. It's very, very up and down is my channel's performance. I seem to go from anywhere from about 100 views to several thousand views, and I just can't work out why. And but there you go, it can be a bit dispiriting sometimes, but there you go. It is what it is, isn't it? And I shall just carry on doing what it is that I enjoy, and hope that you enjoy it too. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.